last time we had so much fun doing the Pottery Barn dupes, I decided to do a do-over. 8 new Pottery Barn dupes, each costing me under $20 to make. And my savings, well, you're gonna have to see it to believe it. Let's start this Pottery Barn dupe off with a bang with this $500 seagrass round mirror that we can make, I promise you, for a whole lot less than that. In fact, you're not going to believe the finishing price tag. To make this dupe yourself, you're going to want to head to the thrift store and find yourself a round mirror with a removable frame. I found this silver one here for $19.99, but with my 20% off coupon, it cost only $16. Now, if you have a little tag on the mirror like I did, a little Goo Gone will go a long way. Remove the mirror from the frame and set that aside. And then using an off-white spray paint such as this chiffon cream from Rust-Oleum chalk paint line, give the whole frame a quick spray. Once that's had a chance to dry, go in with a little bit of Art Minds antiquing wax, and with a small paintbrush just apply strokes of that antiquing wax to the frame, and then use a foam brush to blend that antiquing wax into the base color of the frame. Kind of mimics the look a bit of faux wood. You'll see why we're doing this in a minute. Now, you could always use a large piece of cardboard, but I had these 2 plastic boards that I got from Refit, and I just taped them together with permanent tape. Hubby wanted me to make sure you knew it was permanent tape, and I found the center of the frame, and then using a circle cutter that I borrowed from hubby as well, I just cut out 2 circles, one that would be the same size as the original frame, and then the outside circle is 2 and a bit inches larger, giving me this large donut hole that we're going to finish our DIY with. To mimic the look of the seagrass, you're going to need 2 packs of jute twine from Dollar Tree. I don't have footage of this, I'm sorry, but I did hot glue a couple of the strands to the board to begin with, and then after that you just start wrapping and wrapping and wrapping. I suggest maybe finding a good show or 2 to do this, and yeah, it takes a little bit of patience, but in the end it's worth it, I promise. And while you're wrapping, don't be afraid to overlap a bit while you're doing it. You really don't want to see that cardboard underneath. When you have the entire thing wrapped in that twine and you're ready to finish it off, just use a little bit of hot glue to adhere it at the end. Okay, this step is optional and it really depends on how fuzzy your twine is. My cheap Dollar Tree twine was quite fuzzy, so I like to use a lighter to light the little fuzzies on the jute twine, and it makes them disappear. Now, it does singe it a bit and give it a darker look, so it really depends on you what look you're going for. Now, you're going to want to put those 2 pieces together using a little bit of E6000, and using the adhesive, you're going to glue the twine wrapped hoop to the top of your frame and then clamp them down to keep them in place until the glue dries completely. Place the mirror back inside its original frame. Now, we're going to take a look again at our original Pottery Barn inspiration for $500, and then here's our Pottery Barn dupe, cost a total of $18.50.
Let's drink up, you deaf look like big fun. Come on, let's get it on like that Marvin Gaye song. I'm stunning, you love it. Come on, give me something. I know that.
For this next Pottery Barn, we're going to be recreating this large weathered metal vase that they're asking $99 for on the regular price, and on their limited time offer, they're still asking $59 for this vase. That is still too rich for my blood. I know we can make it for a whole lot less. It took one quick trip to one thrift store to find a vase that had the similar shape and height for what we were going for. The thrift store was asking $5.99 for this vase minus my 20% off coupon. That meant that this vase cost me a total of $4.80. I had this terracotta colored chalk paint on hand from a previous DIY and an upcoming DIY, and I knew that this was going to be the perfect color to recreate this vase. You're going to want to take some baking soda and mix that together with the paint and stir that until you get a consistency that is similar similar to that of your pancake mix. Using a large flat paintbrush, apply the first coat of the baking soda paint mixture to your vase. Let this dry completely, preferably overnight. The next day, apply another coat of that baking soda paint mixture to your vase, especially focusing on any areas where maybe it was particularly thin. Let that dry overnight, and then the next day, go in with some white chalk paint that has been diluted by water, and then with a wet rag, rub away that watered down chalk paint so that you get a whitewash look. Little tip, while doing this, make sure you work from the very top of the vase to the very bottom before wiping it away, otherwise you end up with blotchy streaks. Okay, and let's take a look again at the original $99 one that's on sale for $59, and here's ours that cost $4.80.
Come on, give me something. The night is young and so are we. So maybe you should leave with me.
For this Pottery Barn Look for Less, we're going to be doing their modern farmhouse nautical striped pillows. They're asking just under $60 for these pillows, and I'm telling you, we can make these for a whole lot less. All you're going to need is one of IKEA's oversized pillowcases and a bit of chalk paint. Using some good quality painter's tape, you're going to want to mark off the sections where you're going to want the blue paint to go down, or whichever color chalk paint you choose to use, and then using a stenciling brush with just a bit of the paint on it. You don't want to go too thickly. You just want the paint to be pounced and worked into the fabric. You don't really want it to sit on top of the fabric, and you're preferably going for one layer and applying just enough paint that it covers everything. Later on, if you need to go in and touch up a few areas, that's fine, but again, we're not going for really thick coating here. We want this to look like it's part of the fabric. Let that dry completely, and then go in with some Rust-Oleum matte clear coat spray and give the blue chalk paint stripes a decent coat of the spray, and then remove the tape. Let that sit overnight, and believe it or not, you can wash these in your washing machine. I did it. It works. It did fade a little bit after a couple of washes, but I think that was the way I applied the top coat. Mostly empty can, and I think I missed a few spots. Update later on to tell you how it lasts through the season. This is just a game changer. And again, let's take a look at those $60 ones from Pottery Barn, and here's ours. Mine cost $4 because that's the price I paid for the IKEA pillow in my craft stash. Dying to know, what do you think? These next three Pottery Barn dupes are less DIY and are more let me prove a point. One of the ways I love to dupe is to scroll through bougie decor stores online, find items that I like, and then promptly head to the thrift store, because I know 9 out of 10 times I'm going to be able to find the identical item, or at least an item that is totally comparable. But don't take my word for it. The proof is in the pudding. So my first example is this recycled glass mason jar vase. The large one, they're asking the small one they're asking $99 for. I don't even want to know how much they're asking for the large one. And here's one that I found at the thrift store a few months back, so I already had it in my house. Cost free, but was $4.99 when I bought it. Second example are these vintage glass wine bottle vases that they're asking $149 for to $199. I was positively stunned when I saw that they wanted $79 for the small one here. These are their glass vases, and I found this one at the thrift store for $4.99 minus my 20% off coupon, which meant it costs pennies on the dollar. Now, back to the DIYs. For this next idea, we're going to be duping this handcrafted terracotta vase. We're going to be using the round-shaped vase, but we're going to be getting our inspiration for the colors from the taller vase. Now, here is the metal vase that I found at the thrift store for $10, and this is what we're going to be using to create this vase. We're going in again with that simple baking soda mixture, only this time we're going to be adding a lot more of that baking soda to our paint. I'm just using some white Rust-Oleum chalk paint here because I happen to have a lot of it on hand. This time you're going for a consistency that's a bit thicker than our last time, but not too much so because you want this to apply to the vase smoothly. Once completely covered, let that dry overnight. Now you're likely going to find little bumps of the baking soda on your finished painted vase. No biggie, grab yourself some sandpaper and just sand those away very gently, and then go in again with that second coat of your paint and baking soda mixture. And since you already have that top coat on, you can go quite thick with this second layer and then let that dry again overnight. And then again in the morning, repeat that same process using your sandpaper to sand away any of the bumps and to work in any of your paintbrush marks. For this next step, you're going to need a handful of different sized stenciling brushes and a few different chalk paints. So one of the paints you're going to need is some sort of gray color. I'm going in with Art Minds Gray Wool. Art Minds chalk paint in copper, super important. Some antiquing wax, I'm just using Art Minds, the dark brown one. And another sort of light gray, I'm using French linen from Folk Art. You'll also need some watered down white chalk paint. Using one of your stenciling brushes, start applying that darker gray color sporadically all over the vase. There is no right or wrong to this. I say this every time, but it really is true. It depends on what is appealing to your eye and how you want things to look. Once you have all your dark gray color in place, you're going to go in with that lighter gray color, in this case French linen, and a different stenciling brush, and you're going to start applying that to soften up that gray color. You're creating shadow and depth here, so don't cover it completely, just work around it, blend it out. In order to really effectively blend those colors together, it's helpful to have a wet rag by your side, and then I just like to rub my stenciling brush inside that wet rag and then use that wet stenciling brush to blend on those colors. It really creates this faux stone look that's quite authentic. Now the copper paint. Now this is why I said this part is really important. You actually want the paint separation that you find on the lid of the Art Minds copper chalk paint. Add it a little bit with a large stenciling brush. If you leave this sitting here like that for a minute and then go in with your wet rag, rub your large stenciling brush in that wet rag, and then blend out that copper paint that's in your brush and on your pot, it will actually leave some of those darker spots on the pot. If you want to create just that softer yellow look, then just rub your paintbrush after you've applied a bit of the paint into your wet rag and then apply it to your vase, and that will give you that gentle blended look that you can work into the gray areas, any of the white areas, basically anywhere where you think it looks good. Then to blend everything together and lighten it up a bit, we're going to use some of that watered down white chalk paint and a stenciling brush, and again just apply that wherever you think that it needs a bit of lightening or blending, and just sort of work all those colors together until you get a look you're happy with. Okay, this next part is a lot of fun. You're going to grab yourself an old toothbrush and some of that antiquing wax, and then you're just going to flick that paint onto the vase, giving it dark speckles that recreate that faux stone look even more. To get this DIY dupe to look even more like the original, you're going to go back in with more of that baking soda paint mixture in the white, and you're going to stipple this on all over the vase, lightening things up and providing more texture. Okay, and let's take another look at the Pottery Barn inspiration that they wanted $79 for, and then there's ours. This costs a total of $9.99 minus my 20% off coupon, so I paid like $8.
So maybe you should leave with me. The night is young, and so are we, baby.
Pottery Barn is asking $159 for this color block mason jar, but I know that you can pick up this type of vase at the thrift store for a couple of dollars, so we can definitely recreate this look for a whole lot less. It took one visit to the thrift store to find this $4.99 vase minus my 20% off coupon that looked identical to those found on the Pottery Barn website. In fact, I found 3 more just like it. Using some painter's tape, just mark off the place that you want the paint to stop, because you're going to put the paint on the bottom of the vase and along the sides. Being a round shape, I found this easier to do with smaller strips of the paint and then just lining them up so they match. Now the Pottery Barn ones came in all different colors, like this nautical blue or this sunset rose light pink color. They also had a dark red one, and you could even use this terracotta colored paint that we used before, but I'm gonna go with oatmeal. Again, it's a weird color for oatmeal. As you can see, it's kind of more, I don't know, if my oatmeal is this color, I wouldn't eat it, but it's kind of like, it dries a greener color, but it works really well with my decor, so I think this is what I'm going to go with. Now, unfortunately, my paint was really thick, so you're going to want to make sure your paint's a bit thinner. As soon as I put it on, I was like, oh no. But you just apply a coat on top of the glass, let that dry, sand down any marks from your paintbrush that you might see once that's dried. Again, mine was really thick, so I had to do a lot of sanding, and I still didn't get it quite as smooth as I would like. Spray paint would definitely give you a smoother finish, but I didn't have it in the color I wanted, and I was too cheap to buy it. Once you got everything sanded down to the way you like it, just apply a second coat and then let that dry. Oh, and now the fun part, we get to remove the tape. And once again, here's the Pottery Barn one for $159. And then there's ours. Cost $4.99 minus the 20% off coupon, so like nothing. Okay, and now for the totals. Pottery Barn's total was $1,182.50. And at Jenny's place came in at $50.22.
If you enjoyed those, make sure you subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. If you hit the notification bell, it'll let you know the next time I upload. Oh, and you might enjoy these.